Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought today we would have a look at a data mine and also just some general thoughts about quality when it comes to War Thunder, since I've been trying to upgrade a few things over the last few days, so this will technically be at least the first 2K/4K video that you'll see, depending on how the rendering goes, and also just some general thoughts about War Thunder and how it is set up. So let's have a look at the data mine from Ashida. As always, thank you for the work that Ashida does and also the team around it. It's fantastic that we have these resources when it comes to War Thunder, and hopefully it continues. Hopefully, going into the future, it can sort out and keep going. One of the issues with these types of things is, of course, the money and time aspect is a little bit out of balance. So when it comes to what people do in terms of data mines and also kind of finding stuff like that for the game, you should always kind of realize the effort that these guys are putting in, especially since there isn't really too much reward on the other side, apart from making the community a generally better place. So the first thing is the Jaguar IS. They changed the texture names on it, and then also the SU-25T can now generate user skins. They also did some text changes, which seem to be down to the severe damage mechanic. By the way, how has the severe damage mechanic been? That has been obviously something they're going to be adding pretty soon. I've heard some economical issues with it, but as we've said many times, economical things or like general numbers is the easiest thing to change when it comes to a game. So let's say you feel like it's not giving you enough rewards or it's giving somebody else too much rewards. I mean, that's fine. That's easy to deal with. You can just move on and then, you can just change the percentages or change a number here and there and that's done. The actual feel of the mechanic is the important thing, right? Because that is the part which affects everything quite a lot. So it would be nice to hear some opinions. I'm going to give it a go today and see how it goes. Then also you have a new decal, which has turned up as well in the data mine. It's called the Ancient Tank Snail decal. Now this one's kind of cool because, well, basically it's a Leonardo da Vinci tank snail. So the real question is, where does this fit into the game? Obviously we haven't had a bunch of very ancient stuff in the game apart from specific decorations. Is this a sign of the April Fool's event? Maybe we're going to get some old machines. Maybe we'll get, the Wright brothers biplane with maybe a machine gun on it. Maybe we'll get some of Da Vinci's designs back in the day for these crazy contraptions. Who knows? And whatever it is kind of fun. And if they decide to do some kind of pack alongside of it, which, I mean, this decal looks like it will be, then I'm all down for that. I think also, as well, as we've mentioned many times, like things which don't fit in the game generally, so, vehicles or maybe decorations and stuff, you could easily create like a hangar which would have them in it and therefore give people a little bit of interest in the actual things themselves. For me, when I have a look at the Da Vinci tank, what this kind of signals to me is they're probably going to do something probably around either April Fool's or, over the next month, which will signal that we're going to have like some kind of weird odd event with it. Remember, usually during the year in War Thunder, we get like 2 random events. So last year, I think it was like tank football, and also we had the Atomic Heart event. Then you have stuff like the Battle of Arrakis, things like this. And around April Fool's is usually when they do at least one of them, or just before that when you have like tank football. Nowadays, with the way that the event cycle works and now also the way that they're doing all of these bundles and stuff like that, maybe we're not going to have something like that. Instead, we might just have a continuation of what's already there. But it wouldn't be a surprise if when it comes to Gaijin, they do stack things on top of each other. That's pretty standard thing, unfortunately, that they've continued to do over the time, which is pretty nuts. If they decide to do an event around Da Vinci's designs, or just old designs, I would be 100% into that. That sounds really fun and really, really good. It would basically be a lot of vehicles which would have a ton of issues with them, and you'd have to work around them. But as we saw from many of the other events like the Battle of Arrakis or the events like that, things get balanced and then people able to have fun with them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever they decide to bring out over the next period. If it's just a pack and you can just get the snail, I mean, fair enough. You know, there's a few of those around right now. There's the esports bundle I think you can get with the snail, the cheap one. And then also, you know, there's a bunch of other ways to be able to get some of these cool snails, which they use as kind of, I suppose, a call sign for the game. Now let's have a chat about quality when it comes to War Thunder. Quality is one of those things that is really not really talked about too much, and I don't mean in the form of like bugs or, you know, change logs changing the game. What I mean is actual quality of what the game looks like. One of the things that has been very apparent to me over the years is so many people have completely different setups when it comes to the game. Whether it's using a console or whether it's using a PC, whether it's using hardware from 10 years ago or even the newest hardware, whether it's using new monitors or even old stuff. We even had a look at something, what was it, maybe a month ago, where there is a monitor now that can basically cheat for you in video games. The example that they used was, of course, League of Legends, but there's no reason why something like that wouldn't be able to work in a War Thunder setting. And the thing is, it's kind of nuts. Like, when you think about the advantage that can be got from pretty much good hardware, it really does kind of put things into perspective. One of the things that really was worked on a few years ago by Gaijin was making ULQ not as advantageous as it was, you know, previously, and it was insanely advantageous. But even now, if you want to play the game in a, let's say, competitive way, you can still turn off a lot of the features when it comes to War Thunder. You know, you can stick it on low settings, you can increase sharpness to a ridiculous setup so you can see things moving, you can increase contrast with stuff like the general game or even just NVIDIA filters, which is something we've talked about before, which is a huge thing when it comes to the competitive side of it, which is why I find it very hard to ever take, you know, crazy high like KDs or whatever, or, you know, crazy good win rates into a huge, you know, it doesn't really interest me that much because it depends on like the stuff behind it. So recently I have upgraded from a 1080p monitor to a 2K one or a 1440p one. I've also, you know, improved kind of the setup where I have two computers running alongside each other, one doing the streaming stuff and one doing the game stuff. And now I get a stable 120 FPS with a 2K screen, where before I didn't even get, you know, stable 70 or 80 FPS while doing everything else from the content point of view. And it is just nuts the difference. I don't know how else to put it. It is night and day. Those nukes that you saw previously over the last few weeks were because of that. The fact that now I have a higher hertz on my monitor, the fact I have a higher frame rate, and also everything is stable, has just made such a difference to the gameplay. And it made me realize, back in the day when I started doing this, I started doing it on a Toshiba laptop, of all things. Playing on ULQ, getting 20 to 30 frames per second in aviation, because that was the only thing that was left. And now I'd see the game in such a different light, and it's just insane to think about the progression of not just War Thunder, but also the general hardware of people around it. As things get more efficient, as things get cheaper, and as the game gets more optimized, it opens up to more and more people, but also at the same time, the range of how people experience the game is so different and so interesting to think about. For me, it's a huge factor why War Thunder is successful, that it's open to as many people as possible. No matter what platform you kind of have, no matter what kind of operating system, you are still able to play the game. And a lot of the success of War Thunder, especially in the early days, was the fact that it was a free-to-play game that everybody could play. There's a lot of other games out there which have struggled with optimization. Enlisted is one of them, where basically because you don't have great optimization all the time, it can put off a lot of people. Nowadays, Enlisted is in a much better place, but it did take it a long time to get there. Now, War Thunder has always kind of been there, with little issues along the way as it's moved around, but overall, it's been fantastic to just see it kind of grow and get to that point. The game is beautiful. I don't know how else to put it, and no matter what type of system you have, you're able to run it at least at a decent click. It's one of those kind of fantastic ways of showing how they do pretty much care about all different systems, right? They don't like the fact that they have to cut out systems at the end of the day. And hopefully it can continue. Hopefully War Thunder can still look beautiful for people and can still be quality for others. As always, that is the most important thing when doing these things. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Schnitzel Stroker, Brendan Quinn, Vilneus, Character Fuel, Carrion Crow, Nicholas Richardson, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, B. Young, Opium Prime, Masonocrat, Lafouche, Alan Hacker, Sem Arslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.